This is a tiny tutorial on percent concentration. When you see the term percent concentration, the majority of the time it is telling you something about the percent by mass of a substance that is dissolved in another substance. And so I'm going to give an example of how to calculate percent by mass. So let's write out a formula first of all. Percent by mass would be the mass, typically in grams, of the solute, and the solute is a substance you're trying to dissolve, divided by the mass of the entire solution. So what is a solution made up of? A solution is made up of a solute, again, what you're trying to dissolve, and a solvent, the medium you're trying to dissolve it in. So if you were making salt water, for example, salt would be the solute, what you're trying to dissolve, and water would be the solvent. So let's work an example. Let's say that we are trying to dissolve 10 grams of table salt, sodium chloride, in 100 grams of water, H2O. What would the percent concentration by mass be of this solution? Well, if you remember the formula on the last page, it is the mass of the solute, which in this case is sodium chloride, so 10 grams of sodium chloride, divided by, and you have to be a little careful here, it's the mass of the entire solution. So the entire solution is made up of the solute and the solvent. Okay, so the solute plus the solvent gives the entire solution. And of course, anytime we calculate percent, we need to multiply by 100. So what is the percent concentration of 10 grams of sodium chloride dissolved in 100 grams of water? It is 10 divided by 110 times 100, and that equals about 9%. Let's work one more example. Let's say that you were given the percent composition or percent concentration of something, and you were asked to figure out how much solute was in that. So I'm going to take something that we work with commonly that's in most kitchens, and that's vinegar. And vinegar is made up primarily of a solute that is called acetic acid and water, which is the solvent. And vinegar, if you look on the back of a container of vinegar, it says that it's 5% acetic acid. That means the concentration of acetic acid in vinegar is 5%. So what exactly does that mean? What if you were asked to then calculate the mass of acetic acid in 100 grams of the solution? How would you do that? A good way to start any problem like this is by writing out the formula. So percent by mass equals the mass of the solute over mass of the entire solution times 100. What do we know? Well, let's see. We know that the concentration, percent concentration is 5%, and the problem asked us to find the mass of the solute in 100 grams of solution. So now you just want to solve for x. Let's do that by dividing both sides by 100 first. So that would give us 0.05 equals x over 100. And then that would mean x equals 5 grams. So that would mean that in a 5% solution of acetic acid, there is 5 grams in 100 grams of solution. And just as a final note, even though when you're talking about percent concentration, it's usually referring to percent by mass, it can sometimes refer to percent by volume, or occasionally it can mean percent mass per volume of solution. So you just need to pay attention to the wording, but in any case, regardless of whether it's percent by mass or volume, the general equation is the same. It's basically asking you for how much of the solute is there in a certain amount of solution.